Hi, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining with me. I had a request from one of my viewers that I might begin to include some of the religious groups who settled the United States, to see how these groups might have eventually affected the culture and the government and other aspects of the United States today. And so this is one of those. I want to talk to you about Brownists. Now, you've probably never heard of a Brownist. The Brownists were a group in England led by Robert Brown. He was born in 1550. So this is part of the Reformation movement. This was one of the groups that separated themselves from the Church of England. It's interesting that Brown himself had trained as a Church of England pastor, but when he heard some of the separatist arguments, he left that ministry and began his own movement. A number of the people who traveled on the Mayflower as separatists to the Plymouth, Massachusetts in the U.S. and founded the Plymouth colony were Brownists. In fact, up until the 20th century in Great Britain, the traveling of the Pilgrims to the U.S. was known as the Brownist immigration. Well, they separated from the Church of England because it had too many of the things that were associated with the Catholic Church that they no longer believed in. And one of the things that separatists believed in was each individual church being its own ultimate government, having no bishop or pope above it. It's interesting that Brown, after founding this movement and getting it established, went back to the Church of England and ended his days as a schoolmaster and a teacher and pastor associated with the Church of England. But his followers moved on to the New World, and there we think of them as pilgrims. They founded the Plymouth colony in the part of the eastern seaboard of the U.S. known as New England. They were known for being strict Calvinists. That means they followed the teachings of John Calvin and that particular part of the Reformation movement. They were also well known for establishing a number of universities. They believed very strongly in education, and especially education of the clergy. And therefore, universities like Harvard and Yale, well-known worldwide schools of learning, were founded by these Congregationalists as they became known. Pilgrims became Congregationalists, and they spread their way of being Christian from New England south and then westward in the days of the expansion of the United States. A lot of their ideas are incorporated in government policies, the original government policies of the 13 colonies and the founding of the American states. The Congregational movement today is divided into three main groups: the conservative, Congregational Christian churches, also known as the 4 C's, and they are, as you might expect from the name, quite conservative, still quite Calvinistic, and they tend toward a fundamental and literal interpretation of Scripture in their actions and in their services. The second group is called the Three C's, the National Association of Congregational Christian Churches. And they pride themselves on being the most like the original group in emphasizing specifically that each church is autonomous and each person is responsible for their own beliefs and their own lifestyle. This is a church of thinkers. People are encouraged to think for themselves, not to follow or not to expect to be led by a bishop or a pope. And the third group is the UCC, that's the United Church of Christ, and they are the most liberal of the three, and they're known very much for their social gospel, for involvement in attempting to influence government policy to help especially poor and marginalized people. So I hope you have enjoyed a peek into the Brownist, Pilgrim, Congregationalist part of Christianity, and certainly there is lots more information available about them right online. Each of those groups has their own official websites where they talk about their teachings and the things that are going on. So if you're interested, I hope you'll check those out. Thanks again for joining with me. If you like these kinds of topics, I hope you will please subscribe to the channel and leave your comments, questions, or suggestions, and I'll try to answer them either personally or in a future video. And thank you so much for being here. I hope that this week you have a great week, that you stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you again soon. So bye for now.